Now we're focusing correctly. We already did the flap, and we're gonna do a capsule rexis in a hard cataract. We're gonna go for that flap, and we're gonna try to end it perfect in order to grab it with the forceps. Again, always remember that you need the correct size in order to finish it. Always take your time to visualize perfectly what you're doing. Remember your hand positioning and your pivoting through the incision. We're gonna grab it and we're gonna do a sharing technique. Okay, perfect. As you can see, the rexis is more rigid, but you can do the sub-incisional part of the capsule rexis very perfectly. So what you're gonna do, as you can see, I'm in the left side of the incision, and then I'm gonna go to the right, and then I'm gonna enter the eye. And the sub-incisional part is gonna be done perfectly. I can regrasp, and then I'm just in the other border of the incision. I'm just taking my time to do almost a perfect capsule rexis. I'm entering the eye, I'm seeing where the cut is going, then again, and I'm gonna regrasp. As you can see, you can start small and then finish it very, very big. What I would like here is to do a little bit of sharing and ripping, one mixed to the other, and then we have almost a perfect capsular rexis. Always floating, always pivoting, and always remove the capsular rexis. Always remove it. Okay? So you're gonna have it very center eye and you're gonna visualize correct. After that, we're gonna do hydrodissection. Look at my hands. Look how I am gonna grab the instrument. This is a hard cataract. So what I'm gonna do is I can do hydrodissection. The first thing I need to see if the cannula is not occluded, and then I'm gonna go a little bit down the anterior capsule. I'm gonna put up like a tent a little bit, and then I'm gonna inject. That injection is gonna be, as you can see, you're gonna see changes in the characteristics of the lens. It's short, but maintained. And then I always depress the lens. I think it's almost loose. I'm gonna try to check it with the rotation of the lens. It's almost loose, you see? That's the way you rotate the lens, but I don't wanna, since this is simulation, I don't wanna just make some spaces in the lens. I want to do a correct hydrodissection. I want that lens to be loose like it is, but then I just want to enjoy a correct sculpting. So you can see, look, it's almost loose, okay? Again, the hydrodissection looks like this. I'm gonna fixate my left hand. I'm gonna inject with my right one. I go under the capsule, I put a little bit up, and then it's short but maintained. You can see the changes in that lens and back, so it's completely loose. I depress it, and then I can rotate it, okay? And I'm not gonna keep going. I don't recommend you guys to keep going because I want you to enjoy the sculpting. So remember, you always enter the main incision with the second instrument completely inside. Just put up a little bit. Just put up and then you enter uncomfortable to rotate and get comfortable in the anterior chamber. You're gonna go to position 2 and remove all the bubbles because you want to see correctly. And then you're gonna focus correctly in the anterior face of the lens, and you're gonna advance in 3, you see? And then come back in 1. Remove the bubbles. Remove the bubbles. Perfect. You go in 3. And you come back in 1. You see how you are start seeing how the characteristics of the sculpt. So what you want is an homogeneous depth, but you need to be careful of the posterior capsule. That is why I want it deep in the middle, but I don't want that deep in the periphery. So we're gonna put the second instrument inside the eye, right here. Okay, and we're gonna do the cracking maneuver. The 2 instruments are gonna go down, they're gonna face each other. I verticalize them, see my hands, and then I move to the sides. And you see the cracking perfectly. So I crack it so good that one of the fragments wants to come into the anterior capsule. So now we can rotate that lens very smoothly. See how good it rotates. And now what we can do is we can do another sculpting. Remember, I go in 3, come back in 1, go in 3, come back in 1, go in 3, come back in 1, and then you can divide it. You need to take your time, and you need to always see what you're doing. Okay? Go in 3, go back in 1, and then we can go to quadrant removal to do phaco. This is very, very important. Look, I go in position 2, I bring it to the center, and then with a lot of efficiency, always doing ultrasound when the point is occluded. 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, take your time. We can remove the second instrument, and we can dry the cornea. It's very important for you to dry it to see perfectly and see how amazingly behaves. 2, 2, 3, and I just make, the fluidics to do the job. Look how great it rotates. I strongly recommend you to train yourself to rotate the lens. Very good. It's not easy. It looks good. It looks easy, but then you need to do it. Then you have another fragment here. You see how I bring it in position 2 and you're listening to the machine? And then I do position 1. Good. And now, since we are here, it's not the main lesson, but you can always try to improve a little bit. And you can do some chopping, or at least start focusing on how to do the maneuver. And since you have a half of the lens, you can go to the lens in position 2. You see the vacuum rise a little bit of 3 or 2. I have almost 100% of the vacuum. And then you put the second instrument back and you do the chopping maneuver. It rotated, it didn't come good, but you're trying to do the machine, to do the technique. Okay, again, you're gonna see another that, position 2, 3, I have it, and I can go and I can chop small fragments who are very easy to emulsify. You see, I don't want pieces close to the endothelium, so I pull them back. I go in position 2, a little bit of 3, 2, and this is the chopping maneuver. Always be careful and always be seeing what's happening in the anterior, in your phaco tip. You always need to see what happens in your hands. And if you have the correct parameters and the correct phaco-dynamics, everything comes to you in the safety zone. You never leave the safety zone. This is the safety zone. It's close, it's far away from the posterior capsule, far away from the endothelium, and far away from the iris. For the IOL insertion, it's very important for you to understand a couple of important principles. The first thing is you need to divide this in two moments. The first moment is when you place the cartridge in the incision, and then you're going to focus in that the IOL goes through the incision. When the first moment happens is that when the IOL goes more than half through the incision, you start focusing in that the first haptic is going into the capsular bag. So here we're gonna do it in a fixed eye, that it's easier because you don't have the traction, because when the eye is mobile, that we're gonna simulate further in the future, or in the human eye, that's a problem, because when you put the cartridge in the incision, you need to be well firmly opposed. But if you are not, the IOL can stand in the incision. You don't want that. You want the IOL to go smoothly through the incision like this, and then when it's coming, you want it to go inside the bag. Always be careful, because you don't want to hurt the bag when the IOL is going in. As you can see here, the first haptic, it's in the bag, and you're going to go with a second instrument, in this case a cycle, in order to put it in the capsular bag. The IOL insertion seems something easy, but it's very important for you to master and to understand that it's high risk, and you need to do it perfectly. So when you have a fixed eye, it's easier. The only way to rotate that IOL is to the right because of the disposition of the optics. Okay, and that's an IOL correctly inserted in the lens.